just getting a barrage of DMs and being like, well, what happened to Sai? He hasn't been on like the last 2 episodes. I mean, for me, that's like, what am I, chopped liver or something? You just get the lump of coal everybody gets for Christmas, just me, just but either way, Sai, he's gonna be, back, but he's doing a move right now. He's moving to a new house. Moving is stressful. It sucks. And the reason he had to move is because someone accidentally cooked a steak in his apartment and it permeated through the walls, and it's in the couch cushions and everything, and he just can't be there anymore. So he had to move out. He had to move his house. No, but yeah, he got a nice new place, and he'll be joining the show again. But
yeah, from the 5 to the 6, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. I need food for the kids, money for the rent. Fuck a lockdown, baby, I can't do that shit. And I don't never vote, cause I'm fucking broke. And either way, I know the police ain't gon' leave me alone. On a plane by to visit Glen Rock, need crypto, told me I should bring the Glock with me. So I packed up my piece and I'm sliding. Cause we might get caught up in a riot. Middle finger Trump, middle finger Biden. Fuck a left, fuck a right, is you riding? Know you love to see it, dudes rocking. Ain't no politics, baby, we just talking. From the birds to the bricks, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. Who you with?
Joining the show today is I don't even know what to call you anymore. Is independent journalist? Is that like right? Correct?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah. I mean, because you're, when you first joined us, it was like, we were at another, you were independent journalist, then you were somewhere else, then independent journalist. But you travel, you go everywhere. But it's Jeremy Loffredo. You guys know him. Weren't we your first podcast? Was that? Do I have that right?
Say it again.
Weren't we your first podcast? Like you were the first time you came on a show. Was that our show? Like the first podcast you did, or no?
Yeah, it might have been.
Sweet. Well, we're gonna claim it. We're gonna claim it.
Yeah,
either
there
way.
You go.
Yeah, another one. So it's been a while since we've talked, but in a calendar year, you've been going to train derailment sites. Ukraine. I mean,
Russia. I was in Russia.
Russia. True, yeah. Correct. Russia. And just recently, Maui, or was it Lahaina? Is that
yeah, Lahaina's in Maui. Yeah,
Lahaina. So you just came from there. Now that's a hot button issue. Our audience, very conspiratorial, very and I love them for that. Hell, my wheels are turning too. What the heck happened out there, man?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know what was going on. I heard there was a fire, and it was like there could be a fire anywhere. You just kind of see it on Twitter, you see it on the TV. I didn't think much of it, and then you can tell like when things are going to be more important than other things when you start seeing it on Twitter. You're like, oh, this is like it's a thing, okay. And then Max Blumenthal at the Grey Zone was like, hey, you want to go to Hawaii? I think what's going on there is really important. I was like, let me look into this for a little while. Like I'm not really sure what's going on there. And then like 2 hours into looking into it, I was like, oh my God, like no one's there. Someone needs to go there. So I went to Maui. And I mean, so much is going on there. What would you like to know first?
Well, so okay, let's talk about what happened there, right? So it was a big wildfire, right? They have the death count up to like 115 last I saw, but I feel like it's going to climb. It's going to climb and climb and climb. That's I'm Northern California guy. These happen. You don't know the death toll until it's years later. Usually, sometimes like it's there's a lot of cleanup to be done. But thousands and thousands of people displaced out of their homes. Now, before I get to like the really weird conspiratorial parts, what information so you just had that information when you went to Hawaii? You were just like, well, there's a fire, and I thought Max Blumenthal was sending me on a nice vacation as a gift as a friend, but instead, no, I'm going to go to work. But then, no, I go out there, I'm you. I go out there and who do you go? Where do you go first? Who do you want? I saw you were talking to residents on your video and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there was a few days in between when I found out I was going and when I actually went. So I was like, there's like all of the information coming out of there is like, interestingly enough, it's like it's like locals, mostly young people on like TikTok. And so like,
yeah,
that's really all the information you can get out of there is like, locals on TikTok. So I was on TikTok, I was messaging people, trying to meet up with people, asking where I should go. And then I got down there and it's just like I rented a car. I went down to Lahaina, which is, maybe 40 minutes from the airport. And it's all beautiful and it's green and it's, it's very Hawaii, and then it's just ash. There's no town. I was like, oh, this is different. Like I can't just go in and start asking questions. Like these people, it's like a mass casualty event. Like I can't just start saying like, hey, what's like I'm like a journalist, from New York. What's up? So I had to spend some time at like these little aid camps that they set up on the beach, kind of talking to people before they would like really trust me. And then weirdly enough, someone where I'm from New Jersey, and I was linked up with a woman who lives in Lahaina, who is originally from the little town that I'm from in New Jersey.
Wow.
And so I met up with her and her neighbors. She lost her house. Everyone lost their house. So she kind of introduced me to a lot of locals around there. And the first thing I was told by everyone, not even just some people, everyone, like they consider the death count that you said, 115. It's been stuck on 115 for like 2 weeks. Like,
yeah.
And they say, there's this many people missing. It's like they're missing because they turn to, ash. They're dust.
No,
they're not missing. They're just they disintegrated. But not one local believes that that the actual death count is 115. They say it's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. I've heard 5,000, and you can see in the report that I put out, there's a bunch of locals who are saying it's thousands of people that died. So, I mean, that's equal to like 9/11. Thousands of people died at ground zero. So it's like it's this whole town where there's thousands of people missing and thousands of people turned to dust. So it was really hard to talk to locals about that. And there's another thing going on, like a thing in Hawaii where obviously it's the only state that was really like its own country, so not too long ago either. And so they have a certain like anti-government political outlook in Hawaii that you wouldn't see anywhere in like the continental US, where like they don't like the federal government because, if you look in like history, like the US government, carried out a few coups against like the sovereign government of Hawaii. They annexed them. They threw their princes and their princesses and their kings in jail. The way that Hawaii was, made a state was like we had a bunch of military bases there. And we said, we're America. We believe in democracy. We're going to let them vote. And we put a bunch of voting machines and voting booths and stuff only around the military bases. And what do you know? Now they're a state. And so a lot of people feel like they don't like America. So when I come in, as a mainlander, they call me, from the States, a New Yorker, poking around, asking questions about, like who died, who's missing. They're like, kind of like, get the hell out of here.
We're going to get you right back to the episode, but I just wanted to let you guys know of a few other things we offer at Rare Candy Industries. We have a Substack with free and paid subscription options. Free subscribers get access to all written content. That includes Bob's Red Pill. That's the best thing going on the internet right now. Trust me. Paid subscribers get full access to our premium episode feed. And that's just every episode we don't necessarily want to share with the general public, if you know what I'm saying. Again, that's rarecandy.substack.com. We also have merch. That link's a little long for me to say right now, but go to the description, go to our merch store, and find a shirt that's right for you. We have Rare Candy shirts, Dr. Bronner soap label shirts, Rishi mushroom shirts, all types of stuff there. Check it out. There's got to be something for you. And lastly, check us out on social media. On Instagram, we're Rare Candy Pod, but on Twitter, we're at Rare Candy Pod 1. All right, enough of that. Let's get you back into the episode.
I was at the camps the first couple of days before they really knew who I was and what I was about. And CBS and ABC walked into the camp with their big cameras and their microphones and, their field producers, a team of like 10 people trying to get stories from these people. And the camp would just, yell them out of the camp and scream at them. And just until they left, they called them vultures, just looking for a story. Yeah. Like they didn't like the mainstream media. They really don't like the government. They have a really interesting political view there in Hawaii. And so getting people to speak to me was, a problem in itself. But I spent enough time there where I was able to get enough interviews and kind of piece together a story.
But they probably still want some, like, because even if they have a trust issue with, CBS, ABC, big stuff from, across the water, you know what I mean? In the States, when you start, they probably still want somebody to get the story, right? They still want some, like, I can imagine at least, like, again, independent journalist guy who isn't showing up with like a huge van with the
Of
satellite on
course, yeah.
top. Like,
It was just me and my camera.
right. So I can imagine that, like, yeah, at first you're like, who the heck's this guy? But if I'm going to tell anybody and I have this distrust and I'm traumatized, let's be real. I'm traumatized because, again, like,
I'm living on the beach. My house is gone. Yeah.
Yeah. It's bad because I'm from Northern California. I've had to work in fires up north in Santa Cruz Hills and things like that. You see like skeleton, like dog carcasses and like skeleton and all these crazy things like burned up in cars. It's really sad. So these people are like traumatized, but they, I mean, I guess how long did it take for them to start talking to you?
Like 2 days of me hanging out there all day and talking to people, and then like finally I would get a good conversation. They'd be like, all right, I'll talk to you. And then my friend is over there. I'm sure he would love to talk to you. And so like surely enough, like I was able to speak to people, but at first they really were hesitant to speak to any outsider coming into their aid camp. And a lot of these aid camps, you might have heard. So I talked to a lot of people. This is in the report that I put together, but the aid camps were set up originally. It was just locals running the aid camps. They were taking boats from other islands and bringing supplies to Maui. And it was really just locals helping locals. And then on like day 4 or 5, FEMA was there in full force, and they totally they like essentially told the locals that they can't do this anymore. They confiscated lots of water, food, medicine, clothes from these smaller independent aid camps and tried to centralize everything. And so maybe there was like somebody who was in charge of this aid camp, and FEMA would walk up to him and say, all right, tell us what's going on. Tell us who's doing this, and where are you keeping this? And they would say, oh, we're good. Thank you though. We're good. And they would say, no. We're here now. We're going to help you. And just them, that like change of hands for the aid camps, it like set them back a week, and all of the locals say the same thing. They don't like FEMA. They don't like Red Cross. We were doing just fine, getting water, getting food, getting medicine around. And a lot of the aid camps kicked FEMA out of the camp. It was like they weren't cordial at all. Like they would see the FEMA on the shirt and they would say, get out of here. We're good. It was a really interesting, they didn't like any government agency or any large NGO in their business.
I mean, who the hell would, I mean, I get it if people do. I mean, I understand the function of government assistance. Trust me, like I understand it, especially in a crisis, but it's like, first off, we have a crisis every day now. So there's just these constant, like, not downplaying what's happening in Hawaii, of course, but like we watching from home, if I'm watching NFL Sunday, it's just like Hawaii needs help. You know what I mean? Hawaii needs help, please. You got the NFL head coach. Hawaii needs help. And like in my head, if I'm thinking, I'm just like, oh man, they're just having trouble getting out there. They're having trouble, but it doesn't seem to be the issue. It's like, we're not that far removed from Hurricane Katrina, right? Like, and all that stuff. We know, there's a lot of stuff when you ask locals about what actually happened during Katrina with like FEMA and stuff. It was not the story that you hear in mainstream media. And but I do find that interesting. They're kind of like a nationalistic kind of community there or something. Like,
yeah, very, it was very nationalist, which is interesting because like it's all of these, natives, all of these brown people in Hawaii, and they still like they were flying everywhere you see an upside down Hawaiian flag, and it like you ask people and it symbols like a nation in distress, and you're like, oh, but it's a state, it's Hawaii's the state of America, and they're like, no. The kingdom of Hawaii, the country, in distress. Like they don't even consider themselves a part of America right now, because they're not getting any help, and they really didn't vote to be a state in the first place. So it's a really interesting dynamic when you speak to people there on the island.
Yeah, I know. We always tend to think as that just because geographic lines or like national lines and borders and things and all these things change, that the people go with it. It's like, no, not always. I mean, there's a big like Polynesian Hawaiian community in Northern California, and like they're all like, they know their history. Everybody knows the history of like their culture. It's not just this like, oh, Eisenhower, bro, he started Hawaii, like this is sick. Like, like it was like ever since then, we've been thriving. No, they acknowledge like what happened. Usually when the United States starts something or absorbs something, it's not usually done in the nicest way possible. I mean, that's just the way the way these things work. But
if you even look at it, if you look at a map, it's like, what is that out all the, like, that's a state all the way out there. Like even looking geographically at a map, like it's, almost just as close to Japan as it is to the continental US. It's like it's really just an island in the middle of the Pacific. And it's like, and if you look at the maps that we see in high school, it's just like you have Alaska up here and you have Hawaii down here. And it doesn't click how far away it is from everything.
No, not at all. And it would make a lot of sense why the U.S. would want something that's about halfway to Japan, especially post World War II. They'll just be like, hey, bro, we're just going to, we just want to be a little closer, just to see what's going on over there. Like it definitely makes sense. Like it almost seems like kind of like a satellite hub kind of area for like military offshoring and stuff. So I'm ignorant as far as military history in Hawaii, but I can imagine I know how some of it is. But what do they think started it?
I mean, like, it's funny, like no one thinks that it was just a natural fire. They all think it was a conspiracy to take their land. That's what they like. That's really what everyone, whether you're talking to, a 15-year-old, whether you're talking to an 80-year-old, everyone, and they're not on Twitter like us. They don't see the internet conspiracies. They were there and they don't believe the narrative coming from their own government.
And what is that? Is there an official? It started because of this, like an official narrative. Like
the official narrative is that like power lines blew over in the wind and it started the fire essentially.
Okay. Yeah. So I was wondering if they even had one because I haven't heard the thing, but of course the locals don't believe that. I mean, in California, that's how the Paradise Fire started, was from a leaky transformer, which makes sense because California just kind of like doesn't update electrical infrastructure ever. Like they just let it go. Like it does make sense. However, why couldn't it be both is what I mean. Like, like, cause like, I don't know how else would you start a fire and make it look innocuous, and just like nothing happened. Yeah.
It's kind of like COVID in the way that, obviously it came from a lab, but like people say, like the argument, did it come from the lab? Did it not come from the lab? It's like, it's kind of like this, where it's like, it doesn't matter what actually started the fire. It's the fact that, they tried their best to make sure as much of Lahaina burned as possible. And now they're trying their best to make sure that they can't rebuild on the land. It's like what started the fire is almost moot at this point. It's whether it was natural or not, the cops blocked the roads out of Lahaina. They didn't let people leave. They made it really hard to leave Lahaina once the fire started. The fire hydrants were running dry. They were literally, and that's the New York Times reporting that. It's just the fire department would hook up to a fire hydrant and no water would come out. And if you remember, I think it was in 2018, they all got a mass text message in Maui when there was that false alarm that that North Korea sent a ballistic missile over to Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
And they all got a text message. The sirens went off. It was crazy for like 4 minutes. And then they were like, listen, it was a false alarm. I'm sorry. But this was real. And, thousands of people were dying. The siren did not go off. No text messages at all. And it's just like to the locals, between the siren not going off, no text messages, the fire hydrants dry, the cops blocking people into Lahaina. It's like, I don't know. I don't care what started the fire. Why were they trying to kill us?
Yeah, because if you just chalk it up, and I do want to get back to the where you were going there, but like it's easy to chalk it up for multiple reasons to just infrastructure, right? Mm-hmm. Because what does that mean? Spending. That's just more spending. That's just more funding, more spending. Does that ever reach that said power lines? Does that funding ever reach it? Nah, don't worry about it. But that can always be the case. I even see New York Times, like they end the article and it's like, actually the worst part about it is the changing climate. And it's like, that's the end of it. It's like, look, to me, I view this like a mass shooting in a sense, like where it's just like immediately there's calls for gun control, this and that. And then if you oppose that, they go, hey, people died, man, chill out. It's like, well, I care. I mean, yeah, I care that they died, but it's like, I'd also like to know why and what the plans are after this and stuff. That's not insensitive to think that. It's insensitive for you to bring up elections and stuff, and gun control and or climate change, or even like Biden said, hey, one of the best hurricane responses, part of it is getting vaccinated. Like, I remember when he said that, like,
of course. And that's how that, these elected officials, these politicians, like they don't care. They don't care about the people who get shot in mass shootings. They don't care about the people who die in hurricanes. They're making about vaccines. They're making about gun legislation. Like this is all, it's highly political for them. And it is highly political, but not in the way that they're making it. But when you look at something like climate change, I'll say, like, do you think it's like climate change? Like, do you think they're like I'll say, MSNBC said this is the hottest summer on record in Hawaii. And they're like, oh, I don't know. Is it? I don't know. They're not, climate change is not on their radar. They just know that their town was burnt down and the government kept them inside the town and killed them essentially.
No, it is insane, like the way people view it, because we're so distant from whatever's actually happening, because people stay inside longer than ever, especially since 2020. People watch more news than they ever did. Like the MSNBC crowd, I should say, actually sits down and watches the news. Like, I'll hear people say all the time, like, in a sense, like, I remember this instance where somebody died or was undergoing like really expensive like cancer treatment, and say what you will about treating cancer, but like then all of a sudden the response that I heard from this like MSNBC person, it's like, well, that's why, because it was in the state of Arizona, and they're like, that's why you need to vote for politicians who lower drug prices. It's like, this guy's like battling cancer, you know what I mean? Like, don't like do you think he's really battling cancer and be like, God, I should have fucking voted blue? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. And it's like they want these people in like Hawaii. It's like, hey, Hawaii, what are you doing? You could have voted voting fix. This is spillover from the Trump era. Hawaii's on fire. Spillover from the Trump era. Just like this thing, and it's like it all just feels like, even to them, it's not real. Even to them, it's like this distant, far thing that they're like reacting to in a TV show or something.
Even the other way, like, I'll see the replies on my tweets, of people, suffering in Hawaii essentially, and you'll have replies saying like, well, that's what you get with the Biden presidency, or, well, they all voted blue, so this is what they get. And it's like, no, this is so far removed from, electoral politics. Like, no one, like, whether whoever's in the White House, like that, it's my opinion that it doesn't matter who's in the White House when, that they're killing a small town in Hawaii. Like, this is what happened. And it doesn't matter. Like, I don't think Trump would have saved the people of Lahaina any different than Biden would have. I think they both are, pretty far removed from that and just use it as a political football when they can.
Trump, however, would have done a funnier thing, like tossing the paper towel.
No, 100%.
Yeah, we would have had a
Trump would have been way funnier. Like, that's not arguable. But
he would have gone golfing in Hawaii with like a Hawaiian shirt and like just chatting with people, like, "What's up, man?" Like, I bet you the people would have thought he was like funnier, right? Like, or something. But yeah, exactly. No, I 1000%. That's true, and because it's true, there is. I mean, look, I'll get weird. Sure, why not? Like, there were parts of Maui, correct me if I'm wrong, that could not be built on unless there was a natural disaster, right? Like, that was one thing I had been hearing. So it's like, it's very odd, right? It's very odd that certain parts get hit, just even that law existing, right? It's
there was weird legislation that passed like weeks before the fire. The governor of Hawaii, Josh Green, he enacted an emergency proclamation 3 weeks prior to the fires. According to a lot of the people on the ground there, and even local small-time politicians, that was the first time that a emergency proclamation was declared and enacted and made law before the disaster. Normally you have a hurricane, boom, emergency proclamation, or a fire, boom, emergency proclamation. But nothing was happening there. And then 3 weeks before this emergency, you had an emergency proclamation, and the emergency laws, they speeded up development. They made it harder for construction workers to unionize when building these larger developments. And it got rid of some of the sunshine laws in Hawaii, meaning like laws that mandate the public be made aware of certain things that are happening on their land or near their land or on public land. And this all happened before the fire. So a lot of the locals, when it first happened, they were like, it's kind of weird. But now they're like, oh, like, these people are out to get us. Like, they're planning this. And it's really hard to argue against that. You can't really argue against it, because it's true that these emergency declarations came in before the fires, which is really strange and eerie.
It is eerie, and I can't imagine. Like you said, it's like, for one, I'm with them. I guess I'm just being diplomatic in a sense, to just to run a program and not be accused of being biased for one way or always leaning one way. But it's like, man, since 2020, not even since 2020, but like maybe your ears perk up a little bit since 2020. But then even 2020 waking you up to a lot of stuff. then you figure out all the stuff in the past before that that's like, oh well, that was there this whole time too. And it's weird. It's like you have like, it's like COVID event 201. You have all these weird things, you know, all these weird just oh, don't worry about it, protocols being put in to place, you know, Moderna getting all this funding and all that. And it's like that, this seems like a similar setup. Now, can we prove that it was some man-made or even like designed fire controlled burn or something like that? No, we can't. You and I cannot prove that. I mean, it'd be sick if we could, but I don't think we can.
No.
And so it's just like, it's kind of a perfect thing is to constantly create crisis mode where, like I said, anybody who's questioning the mainstream narrative gets accused of not caring. And or not just not caring about lives lost. There's only one way to thoughts and prayers for these victims. There's only one way to do it, and that's to basically agree with the New York Times. Boom, boom. So that is interesting. But have you seen the blue roof thing?
I've seen the blue roof thing.
What do you think?
I don't know. I mean,
it's that one's a bit weird.
Do I think the U.S. government has the capabilities to burn things from space? Yeah, I honestly they probably have that capability. But I think that the fire was caused by lasers from space? I don't think so. But I wouldn't put it past them. You know, like it's one of those things where it's like I'm not gonna say that, you know, the people who are saying that it was direct energy weapons that caused the fire, I'm not gonna say that they're conspiracy theorists or idiots. I was there, and it does, like, it is super strange. Like there are anomalies that can't be explained. You know, why are cars? Why is the metal, you know, melting on cars in the middle of a field that was not burnt? Yeah. You know, it was 100 yards away from a fire, but this car looks like it went through an incinerator. It's just, you can't explain it. And the blue roofs, I don't know anything about the blue roofs. I saw people talking about it on Twitter, but I did see blue things in Maui. Like you can even see it in my videos, like blue flower pots. I don't know if it was just maybe not near the fire, but not burnt. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of any of that. I don't think it was direct energy weapons, but I wouldn't put it past the government to burn things with lasers.
Yeah, because there's like, again, it's like that's one you bring up the direct energy weapon to like anyone outside of, I don't know, this conversation. A lot of times, like if you bring that up to people are like, all right, man, and then they think you're gonna say some like anti-Semitic, like some crazy stuff.
Yeah, of
after
course.
that. Like they think you're gonna go like all out, and I'm just like, to me, I'm like, look, there's a lot of stuff that, like weird stuff that, like weird theories that, like, you know, the Nazis didn't go away after the war, and which is like objectively true, right? They go to South America. There's all those things. There's even things that people, they go to like, there's a lot of people. I am interested in this. I can't say that I fully sign on, but there's a lot of people that say that the, you know, Nazis and whoever else, their collaborators, even maybe perhaps some early NASA folks, went down to Antarctica, had a base there, and we're working on said technology of direct energy weapon. Don't know what happened of it. Don't know what came of it. Don't know what anything like that. But there's just little breadcrumbs that happen there. And if I was trying to perhaps implement like a BlackRock style situation in Hawaii, where I'm like, oh, look at, it's quite literally free real estate. It's burned down stuff that now, once again, now can be built on. It's not this holy land, this protected, because Hawaii kind of was doing like a climate kind of protection thing down there, essentially. Like, this is our habitat. This is not meant for housing. This is not meant for this. This is not meant for whatever you're trying to build here. But now all bets are off because we burned it down. I'm just saying, like, it's like, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, like, it makes a lot of sense in effect, but like, you and I couldn't bring that outside this conversation, you know? Like,
of course. And it's like it's like, okay, if the military or if some, you know, private entity burnt down Lahaina with direct energy weapons, like, yeah, that's evil. But like, is it more evil than there being a natural fire and blockading the people in Lahaina in their houses and making their children, you know, burn to death in their houses? Like, it's not really more evil than that. So like, I feel like it's almost more important at least as a reporter, to focus on the real evil things that we can prove, instead of like the things that might or might not be true.
Yeah, because like, I could see some people, right? I could see some people. I haven't heard this about you, but I'm just saying, like, some people could look at you and just be like, "Come on, dude, you're one of us. Like, you don't have a big label above your head. Get crazy with us." You know what I mean? Like go to call it a space weapon, call it this because you don't have a boss, you don't have this, you don't have that, and it's like, yeah, but you also still have to like do your job, you know, like you have to like,
yeah, of
you
course.
can't just come out being absurd. Like you like, and I don't even want to call that absurd because, like I said, I'm pretty sympathetic to that line of thinking.
Yeah.
But like, I get it because there's some people, like sometimes I'll hear stuff and I'm like, okay, like let's reel that in a little bit. Like you don't want to just like broadcast that out to everybody because then when somebody finds like even just the smallest crack in what you said, like you got to have everything perfectly right to say that this is a direct energy weapon, right? Like you do. I can say it because I'm just this guy with amethyst crystals around me. I can do I can say whatever I want. I mean, relatively, like I can say that. But like you, like you know, you could lose some credibility even if it's not at a company. You know what I mean? You could lose some credibility.
Totally. I mean, I went there to talk to people, and if I come back and instead, you know, talk about all these direct energy weapons, the people there will be like, you know, we told you about them locking our kids in the houses, and you know, we told them that they're trying to steal our land, and you're talking about these space lasers. You know, like I thought your job was to tell our story. You know, so it's kind of disrespectful to them to, you know, talk about these things that I can't prove when they told me their stories that I can prove. But like when you talk to them, like not to say that those people aren't, you know, very, you know, conspiratorial. They do think that there's a conspiracy to take their land. They do think that like 100% all the people there think that they're trying to get them off the land. They even have, it's almost like the opposite of what was happening in East Palestine, where they didn't trust the government. Like the government was saying, don't worry, it's all safe. And they were like, it's not all safe. Like they just want to cover their ass. These people in Lahaina think that the government is going to say, listen, it's all very toxic and it's all very unsafe. And you guys can't go back to the land for 20 years. Like they think it's almost the opposite, that they're going to say it's extra toxic to get them off the land.
Yeah, you almost wonder if like that type of stuff I almost think is like focus grouped or something. Like how do we roll out, like how do we, you know, how do we scare these people, or how do we like not scare them, you know, or like that just seems that type of stuff is trippy to me. Because yeah, it's not that long ago you were in East Palestine. I mean, it's like do you ever get worried about going to places like that? Like just because like for me, I don't know, like a fire area is not like it doesn't feel great on the lungs. I've been in it and stuff. Do you ever get worried?
In East Palestine, I was like, because I saw that photo of the mushroom cloud. I was like, what in the world is going on there? And then I got there and, you know, these people are all just like hanging in their backyards. It's like, I'm only going to be here for 2 days or 3 days or 4 days. They're going to live here. And they were here when it actually happened. So like, I'm sure I'll be okay for 3 days. And in Lahaina, it was, you know, a week and a half after the fires. And I really only spent, you know, probably an hour or two in the actual burn zone. And the rest I spent in the camps and around the town, talking to the people who have houses there. So I wasn't that scared about going to these places, for my health at least.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I'm glad you did, because it's just like, to me, you know, I tend to sneer at the word journalist in 2023 because it's just,
of course,
like,
me too.
Yeah, it's just like, because you see him. I mean, you see him every day. I mean, they all get their marching orders. You know, even when it looks like they disagree with each other, they kind of don't, like, unless it's over like very niche political talking points. But just the fact that somebody can just go out there, and that's why I respect you and Max and a lot of people, like they can just go out there and just be like, what's happening? I just want to know what's happening. I'll run away with my own ideas after it. Like, that's fine. Like, I think that's the way everything used to work, or at least, you know, we used to have more outlets for it. Because it's funny, right now we feel like we're in this age of like everything's digital, so we can like do whatever, you know, there's all these like camps, like everybody can go to this side if they believe this, everybody could go to that side, go this, but it kind of doesn't feel that way. It feels like it actually kind of leads to like a homogenous thought, because there's just so much corporate interest, there's so much political interest and stuff. And I noticed an issue with a lot of people. Now, I found it interesting. I don't care for Elon Musk at all, like really. But I found it interesting that he was gonna, you know, take over Twitter when that happened. I found it interesting. So far, I've just noticed a glitchy site. I've noticed a rebrand for X that just, I don't know, on the tab still looks like pornography. Like if you just have your tab, like it just very strange that he did that. But I think, you know, you don't seem like somebody who bought his little act, of course, but like Whitney Webb, I think, nails it completely. Just like the idea, it's like, no, he's creating digital ID, like this, like this is a digital ID, like new, basically part of the fourth industrial revolution or whatever. Because like, dude, I have issues with random anonymous people like in my Twitter replies that are being annoying and stuff, but it's like I as much as I might not like that person, I don't need that person's like name just in a database being, or at least like, scanning your ID and putting it on and stuff. So I'd like to know some of your thoughts about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't, not for a second. I mean, it's the same thing. I think like Trump, when he first ran, he catered to a certain people and he was able to really do it well and garnered a lot of their support. And I think like Elon, like he'll just reply to like an Ian Miles Chong thing about like transgender surgery, and he'll just say, interesting. And it'll get like 10,000 likes, and people will all believe that like this guy Elon Musk totally agrees with whatever these like conservative, icons are saying. And I think that his whole move to be, pro free speech, anti-censorship, he said some things about, transgender issue. He said some things about the Ukraine issue. And I think it's all just to garner public support, which is like, it's like really hard. Like Bill Gates, like if these billionaires are hated and they know they're hated, I think. And it would take like, they really need to put themselves out there and try really hard to get people to love them. People love Elon Musk now. People stan him. And that's like, billionaires, they have all the money in the world. They really can't buy, the public support and love from people. That's a really hard thing for them to buy. They can just do things, undemocratically, and they can just, tell people to deal with it. But it's way different, and it's way easier for them to do things when, a large swath of the population, adores them. And I think that's what this whole, rebrand on Twitter for Elon was. And when you look at his, you look at his takes on things, I mean, I think you guys said it before here on this podcast, he's making, electric cars for climate change.
Yeah.
He's such a lib. He's such a lib. He loves science. He's not who people think he is. And he wants the carbon tax. He wants to stop giving subsidies to oil companies. He's putting chips in people's brains. He's doing the biotechnology stuff that like, if Bill Gates was doing it, you have the entire, sect of Twitter that adores Elon Musk, calling it out and saying it's, 666 evil conspiracy. But when Elon Musk is doing it, it's totally fine now because he's one of us. It's really impressive, what he's been able to do on Twitter in 1 year.
They're smart. These guys are all smart. I mean, he himself is extremely smart. I think he's, I don't find him all that entertaining, but like he definitely like scratches an itch for some people. Like he definitely like can make a certain type of person laugh on the internet, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
Like, of
and
course.
even myself, knowing all this and saying all this, when he says something like, we should stop giving all this money to Ukraine. We should try to force peace talks with Russia. There's like a feeling inside of me that goes, that's awesome. That's great that he's saying that. But even like, I know that he's just playing a part. But like, even I fall into that trap for a few seconds, and I'm sure other people do. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. It's like, Sai says this all the time. It's just like, whenever you start thinking about like Elon Musk, like, oh man, like he took it from the libs. Cause dude, the one thing these guys know is they know when to buy low on something. They know when to find something that's very important. And look, I try to be less and less on Twitter. I don't think it's a good thing to be on there all the time and just reacting, and for many reasons. But let's not pretend that it's nothing. It's definitely where a lot of the discourse happens, like, and then you start seeing it in real life, and you start like kind of being like, wow, is this the material versus the immaterial world that's kind of like bleeding over? This is very strange. You start seeing it there. But Elon Musk pops in when Twitter was like it was straight up like authoritarian censorship on COVID. Like it was almost as bad as YouTube, like if not worse. I mean, if you had enough people following you and you said something, like whoever, right? Like even if somebody I don't particularly like, but if they said the wrong thing about COVID or any of this stuff, That was it. They axed you. So Elon could just come in and be like, I'm not going to do that, which I still have yet to see that be implemented. I still see people get suspended every day. I still see, all these things happen. But these guys are smart. But Sai says it all the time. He's like, anytime you think you're gonna like kind of agree with them, or even like be like, man, maybe he's the guy. He wants to put a fucking chip in your brain. That's all you have to say. Because it's like that's all you have to say. Boom, you snap out of it real fast. Because it's like, okay, he's marketing this as the free speech platform. Now, first off, I don't think anybody could ever make a real social media free speech platform. Like if it was any kind of successful, right? Like you can't. You just can't. The minute corporations get in there, it's over, right? Like the minute there's any sort of like outside money coming in, it just won't happen. Like I don't think this many people were ever supposed to talk on one little area at once. It just wasn't supposed to happen. Like it's way too easy. It's like you're all in the same place. It's really easy to regulate. And that's, I guess that's
when he brought
go ahead.
When he brought like Robert Malone back, he brought like a few people back. I was like thinking, this is awesome. Like it's even if like for all of his bad things, it's awesome that like now Robert Malone and critics of the COVID regime have a platform now, and they have 1 million followers, and maybe people will be introduced to that wouldn't have before. But then they're playing a long game. This is a very long game. It's like you bring Robert Malone on, you say something about the trans issue, you say something about free speech, and you do all of that in the course of 6 months. It's like you're thinking, these people are thinking 50 years ahead, let alone 10 years ahead, let alone 5 years ahead. And so they're not, and that kind of goes to the whole thing that the debate of what are leaders, are all these billionaires, are they are they just dumb, do they make mistakes, or is this all very coordinated, and they're very smart even when it looks like they made a mistake? And it's like obvious that these people are geniuses, and they have tons of people helping in them and devising these plans.
Yeah, they're teams. I mean, they are like entities. Like these aren't just like a guy guessing, like a guy just guessing. And then some of it isn't an investment. And like, you'll see these things like he'll be like, man, like, Elon Musk will tweet like, man, like these myocarditis numbers. Whoa. Like, he'll say stuff like that. And then you're just like, then all of a sudden you'll see like certain guys, like even people that I like for some things will be like standing Elon on Twitter, but Elon will say like, yeah, I think mRNA can like cure cancer. And I'm just like,
he said, he has said
he
that.
Literally, he says it
he
all
used
the
the
time.
Tesla factories to help make the mRNA vaccines. He's like, he's talking out both sides of his mouth, like, and he's clearly not the savior that a lot of people want him to be. And when you see him saying things on Twitter, he's kind of, I mean, some people disagree with this, but like the idea of shit coding, is, was it better to maybe introduce the idea that the COVID vaccines are dangerous to somebody without Elon Musk ever saying anything? Because like now it's like, oh, that's what Elon Musk says, like he's a right winger, like is that what you think too? So now like maybe it would be better for me to talk to my family members or something like that, my lib friends, and it's coming from me without that like shit coding that Elon Musk already put on it.
Yeah,
like, I feel like you'd be able to change more minds if they didn't have that right wing connotation on a lot of things.
Right, and then you get the inverse, right? If you just even critique Elon for what he's doing right now, there are these people, and rightfully so, angry at Biden. I think they're absolutely right to be angry at Biden. I think he's doing a horrible job, but they think you're doing it on his behalf, on Biden's behalf. It's like, oh, I hate Elon. It's like, man, I look, it's not, it's. I can't trust this guy, man. I cannot trust this guy whatsoever. I realized that, look, all I learned from it is I don't care who owns Twitter. I shouldn't centralize my thoughts on there is what I shouldn't do. Like, right. It's like, is this any better? I don't know. YouTube could strike it down tomorrow. They probably will with this episode. We've said every word you shouldn't say. But they probably will, but whatever. It's like, I can't, the mRNA with the cancer and just all these things, like, his cars are just like exploding bombs and stuff, and
the like the Elon Musk like fans, like they have the worst copes. Like you say, like, he's the same guy who wants to put chips in people's heads. They're like, oh well, he never said that would be mandatory. He's trying to like solve diseases. And it's like, geez, like they never said the COVID vaccine would be mandatory, you know? So
no,
it's just,
it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory unless you want to live in your house and shit in a Home Depot bucket without your brain chip. That's all you're gonna be able to do. But it's not mandatory. Don't even trip, dude. Like, yeah, it's like that's how these people do it. And it's like, look, I don't care. Even if, and there's some people who roll their eyes like, dude, he doesn't actually want to do that. First off, yes, he does. And second off, I'm just striking that idea dead right now. Like, I'm just not going to be like, oh, he's not going to do that. Then it becomes it's happening and it's good, actually. Because we're so evil. Because there is a lot of anti-human sentiment out there. Like,
of course, yeah.
I mean, and pro AI, pro just like, even if whether we do or don't have free will, we're just going to say we don't with technology, essentially. And that all that stuff happens. But speaking of just, saying all the bad things on possibly a YouTube show, did you see what Sean Penn said today about the Oscars? I thought you'd think it was interesting.
No, I didn't see it.
It's pretty good. So he told Variety magazine, and now on the cover of on the picture they use for it's Sean Penn, just barefoot. Don't know why, but
is he wearing pants?
He's got the jeans. He's got the jeans and no shoes, barefoot, sitting on a bench, sitting on the table of like a picnic table, and he's got like kind of like a European motorcycle jacket on. And he says after watching Will Smith's Oscar slap, and this is in Variety magazine, Sean Penn became convinced that his only choice was to destroy his own Oscar statuettes. I thought, well, fuck you. I'll give them to Ukraine. They can be melted down to bullets and they can shoot the Russians with them.
Wait, I mean, it's like, it's outrageous and it's like hilarious. Like, why would that slap make you not like the Oscars?
So yeah, apparently there was a lot of things going on. Also, it's a brag that he has Oscars, by the way, too.
Of course, it's a giant flex.
I have so many, you can make like 1 million bullets. Yeah, and you'll win the war with my Oscars. Like, yeah, like it's all that. But like the Sean Penn thing is so crazy. It's like that guy goes so hard for Ukraine. Like it's every time, like I don't really watch a lot of like Fox News or CNN or anything, but like if I go to my parents' house, it's on, like just kind of like in the background, really loud too. I don't know if anybody else's parents listen to
old
TV.
People. Yeah, no, I feel that.
Like, man, when you call them on the phone, you're like, can you hear me? Like at all, or do you want to hear me? Like it is insane. Like how I can hear Maddow just like permeating through the
and no one's on the couch, no one's watching.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, can you please turn the TV down? Like I'm pretty sure you won't miss anything. This is round the clock coverage. And but anyways, the like Sean Penn is just like on there all the time. He's like Sarah McLachlan with the dogs and stuff. Like it's just like he's on there constantly with like Ukraine, and it's like, look, I don't think it's organic. I don't think Sean Penn is just this like Ukraine, like I'm pretty, because Sean Penn has a dirty history, and with these like probably CIA like influenced people or CIA backed people, a lot of times they did something wrong. And Sean Penn has 1 million like domestic violence stuff from back in his day. Like there's the whole stuff with Madonna and probably other stuff we don't know about, and the reason we don't know about it is because there's a trade-off. I mean, that guy is probably doing this for all that, but like Ukraine kind of dies. Do you think Ukraine's died down a little bit? Like, I'm not the money's not dying down, of course, but like the Ukraine hysteria is dying out in the media. Like, is it that easy to switch current things, man? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like it's less on the news than it was before. Because I mean, you saw that CNN poll where it's like, I think it was 60% of something of Americans don't think we should give any more financial aid to Ukraine to fight Russia. So like when that comes out, when they see, the Americans, the public actually doesn't like that we're spending their money and sending it off to kill Russians. Maybe we shouldn't be telling them we're doing that all the time. So I feel like it's almost better when it's on TV, because now it's less democratic in the way that they're sending it. It's like, let's stop telling them what we're doing. Let's just send it anyway. Like since we're telling them we're doing it so often, they're actually starting to not like it.
Yeah, because that's always what happens. I mean, that's how it always works. It's the panic. The panic's always the first thing. This is happening. This is insane, right? This is insane. Guys, stop everything you're doing. We don't really need rights right now. Rights aren't really the thing. Like voting, we can't really do that because it's an emergency, and there's an emergency every day. We can't do that. Same thing happened with COVID. Then all of a sudden, it's just, well, we need to send everything over there. We need to send everything over there. And that works as kind of like a PPE kind of situation, just PPE, build more hospitals, boom, 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 all that kind of stuff. It's the same concept. And then all of a sudden you kind of like, oh, we need to regulate everything. We need to constantly be sending billions and billions and billions of funds over there all the time. And then all of a sudden it disappears, right? It disappears from the media, just like COVID did for a while, just like vaccine stuff did for a while from the media.
Yeah,
but
because the COVID stuff disappeared from the media around the same time that there was actual, union protests in New York City and in Dallas of union workers who didn't want to take the vaccine and were really opposed to it. It's like, if they were going to talk about the mandates, they would have to send one camera to this protest. And then, people would see, oh, they're not alone. So just don't send a camera. Just keep mandating it. Keep on with the regime. Just don't tell people that they're not alone,
Yeah. And then, like I said, you have like, okay, maybe the panic's gone, but the vestiges of like the protocol still stay. Like it happens all the time. Like, okay, you go to the airport. Do we need like we still got to go through 9/11 style security?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's more measures. There's actually more measures. Like for certain, like all the liquids and all these things like that. Like that stuff's still there. The UC system, I think the UC system might have just got done with like the booster mandates. I'm not sure.
Do you go through the scanner at airports?
I have. The line is way too short. I don't like it. I don't like it whatsoever. My dad has Parkinson's and he had a surgery, so he can't. So he has to ask for the pat down, and he's like, I think they think he's being weird when he like, oh, you're one of those like guys that doesn't trust the fucking microwave we're about to put you in, and then he's like, yeah, I need the pat down because I have some like wiring and stuff that's not gonna go well in there. Which if you have some wiring put in, I have a feeling like the rest of your body's probably not very good inside the machine tube. Just that's a thought.
Yeah, I mean, we're a giant electrical machine.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you know how long the pat down takes? They have to like call some guy.
I do the
like
pat down every time.
They have to call some guy from like another airport. It seems like they're like, yeah, he'll be here in like an hour. Like you're like, all right, cool. And then they do the
say
pat
mail pat down.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, listen, I'm gonna touch you with the back of my hand.
Oh,
I'm like,
God.
yeah, no, I understand what's happening. Like, I've been waiting for 20 minutes. I'm gonna miss the thing. I don't want to go through the thing. And I'm not. And I see them like walk like an old woman, clearly not a terrorist. This old lady is clearly not a terrorist.
Well, she might vote Republican. She might vote Republican.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fine. She might be a MAGA chud. Yeah.
There was that lady at the Capitol with the American flag, the old lady. Yeah.
It might be her.
Could have been anything. Yeah.
Send it through the microwave.
Yeah, don't say it. Don't be so sure. Yeah. But yeah, no, she's not I highly doubt she's a terrorist. No, but like that's what I mean. It's like, okay, Ukraine panic stops, but like there's always going to be that random story that just pops up and it's like, Biden administration sends another 20 billion over there just because it's what you do. It's just like,
it's just been normalized now.
Yeah, it's man, it's crazy. And like COVID, like I was just talking about it on another episode, but like there's like COVID is back for like 20% of the population too. Like 20% of the population now is like I said, I saw people wiping down groceries like the other day. Like it's not even like 2021 COVID. It's like 2020 COVID panic for a lot of people now. And it's like coming back and they have like new variants and like new boosters that are like XBB carry the 4 squared or something. And which also is like some Elon Musk ass name, like the new variants that they do with it. And I just like, look, you knew it. I knew it. So many people didn't. They kind of thought it was just like a one-time cash grab, even the conspiratorial people. But I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure these people have like 20 to 30% of the population coming back and back. And it's clear that they probably, I don't even think there is a new booster shot. I think that not a lot of people got the old one. And I think they're just going to like repackage it. Like,
yeah, I mean, they're saying, which is funny because they're saying, I mean, I think the New York governor, like my governor, she was just like, listen, your old vaccine, don't think you're safe with just the old vaccine. You need the new one because the old one will not protect you. And so it's like, but still, I don't know how the rules are, but I know with the latest booster, if you wanted to get the latest booster, you still needed to get, the first dose and the second dose and like the previous vaccines for variants that were not even circulating and have not been for years. But in order to get the latest one, you need to get your priors.
Oh my God.
I don't know if that's how it is with this one, but I mean, the only people who know they have COVID right now are people who are testing themselves daily. And they were wearing masks already. You know, they're already gone. I feel like
God, they love people.
Yeah.
Love those little like Neil deGrasse Tyson COVID home tests, like fun science projects. Like I can find out if I'm sick at home. Like, oh man, people love these things, man. Like for me, it's just like I remember talking to somebody, and it was like they're like I'm sick, and I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Like, let me know if you need anything. You know, I'll bring some stuff by your house or anything. And they're like, yeah. They're like, I think after a couple days, I'm gonna like take a COVID test, like if it doesn't go away. And I'm just like, what's gonna change if it is?
Yeah.
So then this person goes on, they find out they are positive, right? And they send me like the thing, the test, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, but they're like, yeah, I'm on the upswing a little bit, but you know, I'm sick, dude. The doctor, then they did a Zoom chat with the doctor, which yeah, that's 2023. Talking to Zoom chat with the doctor. The doctor's like, they're begging for Paxlovid to the doctor. Can I please have Paxlovid? Like, please, 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 please. And the doctor's like, yeah, you're supposed to take it within like 2 days of like infection, but why the hell not? You can have some Paxlovid. They get the Paxlovid. I'm just like, what a time to be alive. Like, what
really crazy.
Like, this person could have wrote it out completely. Nothing.
Of course,
happened.
They like, these people don't even. They're like, they kind of feel sick, and then they get a test, and they see they're positive, and they're like, oh, I'm sick. And it's like the only thing that changed from when you were not sick is that you got a positive test. You're just as sick as you were before, but now you're walking around like you have body aches, you're holding your head, like you're just as sick as you were before. You just have the test. And I'm in New York, and like there's people in my building where like I will hit the elevator, and I'll hold the elevator, someone to come in with me because they're waiting, and they'll say no, just go. I think I might have COVID, and it's like I want to say just like no, come in, it's fine if you have COVID, but I'm afraid if I say that, they're like, oh, that guy in 5A. Freak. I think he's like a COVIDiot. Yeah.
He's a freak. Well, then, like, first off, I don't want to get sick, like, just for the sake of like, I don't want to be down for 3 days. Like, you know, because I have had it, and it's like, yeah, it knocked me out for like a day and stuff. Like, I don't want it, but it's funny. I don't wear the mask or never took the shots or anything, but it was just funny. Like, there's a lot of people at my work that fear it, but now they do this thing where like they're sick all the time because you know, they took a million shots and are sick all the time, and they like show up to work like sick as a dog but with a mask on, and I'm just like, can you not like hear me? Like, I know I'm kind of like how about they're like that like I don't know what you think that mask does. Like, I don't know what, like, you must think that you are just like, it's like a bulletproof vest or something. Like, it's like they think it's this thing. I'm like, I know a lot of people who show up to work like sick as a dog, but they freak out over COVID, like freak out over it. But it's like not enough to just like, well, then stay at home. We don't
stay at home. You're sick. Sick people.
You don't do anything at this company anyway. You don't do anything. Like, like you're not productive. Like, whatsoever. Like, I know it's funny. Like, I don't know. I don't know where it's going, but I don't like it. And I think, look, we're a year away from an election. I think there's going to be a completely virtual like election next year. Like, it's going to be bad. Like, because I think they're going to roll out a panic every single time. Like, and if a lot of these people
for an election,
yeah, like, because they're doing it this year, I think it's going to become a seasonal thing. I think every single year there's going to be like the flu. There's going to be like, oh, it's flu season, but instead of like, here's a sign at Walgreens, get your flu shot, it's going to be more so like, hey guys, special interruption from CNN. Look at these numbers. Scary, you know? And then it's like that. But then I'm like, we're a year away from the next election. Again, not the biggest electoral politics guy. I'd like to have a real one though. Like, it'd be cool if we had a real one.
Yeah, fair
like,
enough.
yeah, like it'd be. I'd prefer if we like didn't have what happened in 2020. Like that felt weird, you know. Like, say what you will about Trump, but it felt very weird what had to happen to get him out of office. You know, like just that to me was like, maybe he's just the whipping boy to show that you'll never have an election ever again or something, or like, or they if you even attempt to try to do something just a little bit different, like this is how it's going to go, your life's going to be a living hell. But even then I'm like, can we just have like a regular one that like where people show up to the polls?
Even if it's fake, I'd like it to be as normal and fake as possible.
Normal and fake. I'd like to be as inconsequential as I thought about a lot of ones growing up where I didn't care about that. Like, but I don't want the like, oh man, a pipe burst in Arizona and just like water. Oh man, the documents, they got covered in water. We don't now. They all say Biden, like, you know, are we finding them in stuff? But it's like, you know, if you vote virtually, just like in a sense that if you know, like if you do all your purchasing, you know, without cash, you don't really realize how much money you're spending. Like it's like kind of this
Yeah,
like weird
exactly.
thing. Like you know, my laundry machine, right? In my complex, they switched to like this. I'm on an anti QR code thing. Like I try not to like ever use them unless it's I guess the only option. But like the laundry machine is like my thing. Like it used to be like whatever 75 cents for a wash and then whatever for a dry. But like now they go like, oh, we're doing aren't you so tired of like bringing quarters down? I'm like, yeah, kind of. All of a sudden it's like $2 now for the wash because they're like,
That's
well, they're like, it's
gotta
on
pay
your
for the
phone.
software.
It's not real. Yeah, it's not real what you're spending because it's not real. And it's like I just kind of feel that same way about like everything's gonna be virtual.
Yeah.
Like, look,
And
are we
less
gonna be
real.
yeah, less real, less virtual, less consequential, unless this guy wins the election. Then everything is very real and very scary, and you need to go run and hide. I don't know, man. I just like that's why I'm like I just want to get weirder, and the conspiracy stuff kind of gives me comfort, I think. Like because like the reality is not cool right now. Like I go out and it is not sparking joy when I go out and talk to like
and when you see like even today, like the media is like super anti-Trump, and like I feel like that guy, that old guy, that like he's really not. It's not. They don't hate Trump. I feel like they hate Trump supporters. They hate freedom-loving people, and so like you can get rid of Trump. And like these freedom-loving people in America, they're still going to be a problem. They're still going to be a thorn in the side of those in power. And so like when I see like, oh, they hate Trump, they're doing this and that. It's like I don't think they actually hate Trump. Like I think they just hate that there is such a large swath of Americans that love freedom and hate the establishment. And he's just like kind of like an icon for them right now. But there always will be an icon for these people because these people are not going away.
Yeah, there's
and they're going to vote.
Yeah, they're gonna vote. There's people who like remember a time like, yeah, of course you can point to a time pre 2016, pre 2020 that like, oh, you might have thought you were free, but it's like no, there's a noticeable difference about how free we were before 2020. Like there's a noticeable difference about like what human interactions were like and all that. And like it does 2020 to me feels like a BC AD kind of thing because like it's very strange. Like a lot of libs think the world ended in like 2016 and like it is time to like build it back, build back better. That's what the guy ran on, and but then you like now I'm just like, man, I don't run from the term reactionary. I think people like automatically just think that means like racist, but it's like no, if something bad is happening in real time and I don't want it, call me a reactionary. I don't care. Like, but like it doesn't matter. Because some people think reactionary wrongly just means you react insane to things. And it's like, no, I remember that this wasn't necessary. Like that this wasn't necessary to have random people wearing masks, carrying Uber Eats bags, looking for the correct apartment door all the time for someone to survive. You know what I mean? For someone to like keep eating, or because they're too scared to go in a restaurant now, or too scared to cook or something. Like I know that there was a normal not too long ago that was kind of fine for everybody for a while, at least,
at least more. I mean, even in New York, that they've made in New York, they actually outlawed cashless businesses.
Oh, or cash only.
You can't be cash only. You can't be cash only in New York. But the businesses found a way around this, and a lot of the places that want to be cash only, but can't because of the laws in New York City, a lot of the businesses have gotten reverse ATMs. So reverse ATMs. You walk into Van Leeuwen Ice Cream, you go get an ice cream cone, and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't take cash directly." And you say, "What do you mean directly?" They're like, "We don't take it directly. You have to go over there to the reverse ATM. You put in the $20 bill, and it will give you back a little Visa with $20 on it, and you'll pay with that."
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, like you can't, like you could pay with a $20 bill in some place, but now you can't do it. You have to put in your phone number and email address.
Oh, I see.
In order to get the card. So
I thought this thing was just hitting with like $20 Visa card.
They're getting
of course.
Like you can't buy things in these places unless you give them your email and phone number. You can't buy with cash. And so, this is not something that was happening before COVID. Like this is Like
I
what?
know.
Like if you ask them, you're like, that has nothing to do. They say it has nothing to do with COVID. They say it's easier to run a business. All our money goes into the same thing. We don't deal with cash. Blah blah blah. But like, why did all these things pop up in 2020 and 2021? Like what? You just noticed. Like there's a digital jail being built around our cities, and it just started happening strangely in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, and that's what makes you think, like, you're like, man, even as crazy as I got about COVID, it's like, was that just the fear model at the beginning? Like, was that just
Mm-hmm.
the thing that was just like to start it, and then it's like
Yeah.
it's gonna get much like it's gonna get much crazy. I don't want to say much worse because I don't like to sell people fear and sadness and stuff like that. Because I do think there's still much more of an opt-in. Like, if anything, you should become less reliant on like going to a business for each individual meal and stuff. Like start
Of
figuring out
course,
like
yeah.
ways to like live a life at least somewhat separated from that. I mean, I get it. You go to Whole Foods. Don't use the Palm Pay. Don't do the Palm Pay. That's all I'm going to say. Just don't do the Palm Pay. And you know what? I thought it was really nice because I went to the Whole Foods and it was really dusty, the Palm Pay thing. So nobody's been using it. So that's really cool. I haven't seen a human being use it yet. There was dust all over it. Everything else is clean. I mean, they weren't even cleaning the Palm Pay machine. Like they weren't even maybe because the palm would get too near it. Even they were scared of it. But there were like lots of like that's there. Now people might I think that weird Neuralink thing is going to be like a Palm Pay, whatever Elon's got going on.
Of course, it will be. I mean, I don't know if you saw they're doing the people who pay for Twitter Blue soon. You can sign into your account with your fingerprint, and it'll be straight fingerprint to X to account. And it's like, oh, but don't worry, it's just you don't need it. And it's like, yeah, but if the goal is to make all of these, make Twitter, free of bots and make it, less fraud and less bots and this and that, everyone's going to need it eventually. Like we need to get off of Twitter eventually. I enjoy Twitter, and so I'm not going to get off right now.
Look, I don't. You and I never speak if it wasn't for Twitter. I mean, there's things that like there's just
Twitter's great.
It happened. Like you can look. It's good, and I think there's always going to be some kind of platform that's good. That's going to be the thing. Like, I mean, there's MySpace. I'm old enough to remember MySpace. I'm old enough to remember, even the early days of Facebook. There's going to be another way, but like, it's just I don't like just more and more of my life being centralized on there. Like I wanted to upload a 5-minute video and I paid for Twitter Blue, and I'm like, kind of like, why did I do that? Like, why? I mean, I need to get off it. It's not helping. It doesn't like, I don't, I wanted more people to see our stuff. It doesn't really work. Like, it's not like it gets algorithm buried and stuff. It won't even let Substack links go on Twitter, which sucks.
No,
like they don't.
And they changed that. They changed like the because it used to be like a fact check you get from Twitter pre-Elon, and now post-Elon it says like community notes, and sometimes community notes will go on like a lib, and you'll be like, oh, they got owned by community notes,
right.
But like the whole term community notes, it like makes it seem like it's not people at Twitter, and it really is people at Twitter like saying, oh, this is wrong. These people gave us this link. They're making the fact checks. Twitter's still making fact checks. It's just called community notes. It's just like everything has changed. They're trying to make it seem less and less authoritarian, even though it's just as, if not more.
I know. You got it. I mean, I mean, like, man, get somebody's phone number or something. I don't know. Like, if you like somebody on there, get their fucking phone number. I don't know. Just something like that. But anyways, Jeremy, thanks for coming through, man. That was great. Really, really glad to hear about all the stuff that you were doing over in Hawaii and stuff, because Lord knows somebody needs to. Because if I read what the New York Times said, it would just say like there's a fire, vote blue because like climate's burning and Green New Deal. That's what they would say, and it would just be like, all right, cool. And then that's all you're gonna say, and then you'll watch the NFL or watch anything, and it'll say, "Don't Red Cross, donate some money to Hawaii.
Donate, give us money." So I do have to ask you, because this is the most I get to ask this question a lot. There was one time you came on, I can't remember which time, but you talked about that gang stalker, targeted individual.
Did it happen again? Have you any updates? People have been asking me, is there any updates? I haven't.
I mean, it's almost like I'm hesitant to talk about this, because I know the first time I spoke about it, people were like, no, there's no way that happened to him. But there is an update.
People want to know, so they believe it. So yeah, I mean, people want to know. Yeah.
So nothing happened for like maybe like 9 months, no contact. I blocked her on Twitter. I blocked her number because I was getting freaked out. I just did not want to speak to this person. And then I was speaking to somebody I know in Russia, like a friend of mine. Also, you know, he gives me some information of what's going on in Russia. You know, maybe that I wouldn't see that in American media if I want to, you know, cover it as a story. And he was saying these people, the UN is sending in, you know, they're calling them scientists to a nuclear facility in eastern Ukraine, Western Russia, right on the border. And all these people have, you know, crazy military experience. They're not really scientists. Like a lot of these people have covert ops experience, but they're going in as nuclear scientists. Something might be happening there, this and that. So I said, oh, wow. So I'm on the phone with this person and I'm taking notes in my notes app on my phone. And I get off the phone, the thing's over. And then literally on Twitter, I'm scrolling through Twitter in the car with my friend. And I see that a random anonymous account had a screenshot of their notes app, and it said that the note was shared with them from me of the notes that I took while I was on the phone with this guy about the nuclear power plant and covert ops people going there. And my notes, my handwriting, my everything, my like, I was speaking in, you know, to myself. And this note was on their phone. It said I shared it with them. I did not have iCloud on my notes. I did not have anything. Right. I didn't have their number. I don't have their email address. I don't have anything. And they took a screenshot and they said, this just appeared on my phone. This is how the intelligence agencies renew the FISA spying warrants against me. They make it look like I'm dealing with foreign policy and foreign governments. Like I'm dealing with Russia, nuclear stuff, and Ukraine. They plant this stuff on my phone. This is not for me. And this is how they, you know, renew these FISA warrants against me. And I saw that tweet, and I like my stomach turned. I did not know how that happened, and I still don't know how it happened. And I still like bring up the story again. It's like it never came to a conclusion. I just kind of ignored it, and I just never made any important notes again in my phone. And I don't think it was anything against me. Even I think that if this lady's telling the truth, that they just put things on her phone and it happened to be something I wrote to do something against her. And I mean, that's an update. That's the only update I have.
I'm sure they have a lot of your work on file.
I can add you. I can at you on the tweet of hers, so you can see it yourself.
Hey man, send it over. But yeah, no, I wouldn't doubt that a lot of these agencies have some of your work on file. I mean, just for the fact, I mean, look, dude, like that, some of the, you know, some of the journalist work you've done, I'm sure has caught some attention there. But you're on the road, you're traveling, you're constantly traveling, but you can come back anytime, man. Because anytime you got a fun scoop for us, it's always a pleasure. And when you travel, man, when you travel, I always this is probably not how it is, but I always picture like a very like fake name at the hotel. You know, park at the other hotel across the street and then walk over, like, you know, like the very like Born Identity type stuff. So don't tell me how it actually is, because that's how I'm going to think of how you travel. So follow on Twitter at Loffredo Jeremy. We're going to put the Hawaii video that you made in the description. So guys, check that out in there. And yeah, sounds good. Anything else you got to promote? Any other new work? Anything?
No, that's it for now.
That's it for now. All right, guys. Everybody have a safe week. See you guys later.